Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome. I'm super excited to have y'all. Welcome to everybody who replays these. I'm super excited that you all are here. My name is Joy. I go by Joy Stays Free on all platforms. So definitely go ahead and add some people in the room. What's going on, Pastor? Just checking you guys out. What's going on? Imperfect Perfectionista. I got some good stuff for you all tonight. There's so much stuff happening in the Stay Free world that I cannot wait to share it with you. So, first things first, as you can see the new drip, this is what is about to launch this weekend. So, if you do not know already, definitely go ahead and get your Stay Free merch over the weekend. It's going to drop for Black History Month. And I just wanted to announce that it's going to be exclusive. The ones that I print that go along with the brand are just for that particular word that we are talking about. And so if I ever print shirts again, they're going to be different. So Stay Free 2021 for Black History Month in celebration of being an African American. I'm super excited about it, but I'm only going to print a certain amount of shirts, and I'm only going to print certain types of shirts. So if you get them and they're gone, that's going to be it, and you'll be the only people that have them. So definitely go ahead and go over there over the weekend. It's going to drop February 1st, and orders will begin to go out throughout the week. So welcome. I'm super glad you're here. Welcome, Stephanie. I'm super happy to see you all. So I want to dive right in because this is going to be a precursor to what we're going to start talking about in February. And I want to talk about some key pillars and some key points, some key things that we would stand on in this next part of the first quarter, right? So when we break the year up in quarters, January, February, March, that's pretty much the first quarter. And everybody is coming out of these seasons of fasting or these seasons of kind of sitting back and just really being reflective to find out what am I supposed to be doing for this year? What is coming up for 2021? January is over. We already talked about inauguration, like different things have already gone on. People have already made their vision boards, and we're moving into the year now, right? Like February's coming. It's cold, but we're still making plans for the spring. And so just as a reflection, let's go back to what we talked about on New Year's Eve and saying that, we're going to sit down. We're going to take some quiet time and really find what God is saying to us. What are you supposed to be doing? Spending that quiet meditative time for yourself to know what you're supposed to be doing, the moves that you're going to make, making them very deliberate, very serious, and, having fun with it. You're definitely going to enjoy your life. And I really hope that you do that. But I don't want you to waste any moments, right? And I'm super pumped. I'm super fired up because I've encountered a lot of really dope people in the past week or so. And ever since I saw you all last, we had the Bricklayers Conference, and that was amazing with Jamie Jordan. So if you all do not follow Bricklayers Academy, definitely follow her online with Jamie Jordan. And I just want to say that I'm super excited to be around like-minded people because what that conference did for me that was super important that I want to note here on my live is that when people run together and they're of like mind, more can be built. There's more things that can be built. So like in a city, you have this building, stands for this. So you have this building that can be brought up on this side. And so I just feel like when people can come together and we talk about what we're going to do, and that energy turns into synergy, and you begin to work together and you begin to kind of collaborate and you begin to share with each other, that's something that's super important for us to do. So your community is really important. And I just wanted to put that out there because since that particular conference, I had a bunch of different things that I was thinking of. What's up, Jairus? What's up, BA Smooth? I'm super excited for y'all to join me. So we got to talk about these pillars that are going to take us into the rest of this year, okay? So the next few weeks, these are the points that we're going to start talking about. I want to talk about love, legacy, life, and laughter. Okay, those will be the 4 L's that we go through in the next week. And I'm going to set up this precursor for you all because it's really important for us to know, as we already sat down, we said New Year's Eve, we sat down, we sat and figured out what God was going to say to us, but now we're ready to run. So if you're ready to run and you're ready to move into this next season of whatever God has for you, right, you have to have some sort of plan and some sort of strategy, but that strategy is founded in your purpose. And that strategy that you're given, whatever you were supposed to do, whatever you wrote down, all those amazing things that you got when you sat down. What's going on, Zandre? Those amazing things that you got when you sat down, now that you're writing them all out and you're strategizing and you know what those next moves are, how is it going to impact these things in your life? And how are these things fitting in your life? Like when they're in your life, where do they fit? So let's start with laughter, right? And I put that in there because, we see a lot of times we say live, laugh, love, right? Those three. But I wanted to add on their legacy because with all of these different things, especially with Black History Month coming up, I feel like it's a celebrative, something that's celebratory, something that we can talk through. And so let's talk through laughter. Like, it's super important to get these tools in your toolbox, to get the weapons in your arsenal to stay free. Okay, so this thing is taking on a life of its own. You all are conquerors, so let's get some tools in the arsenal. The first tool I want you all to have in order to stay free, the question that I want you to pose to yourself is, why do I need to be free? Why? Why is freedom important to me? Why is this fight for people's freedom to speak, to carry arms, to do what you want to do in this life, to build a business? Why are all these freedoms important to you? And I want us to reflect on that because freedom is something that's priceless. It may cost something, but it's priceless. It may cost something, but it's priceless. Freedom is invaluable, just like a life. A life does not have a price tag on it, but it could cost something, right? So we try to impose that on something that is priceless, and it really doesn't make any sense, right? So have you laughed this week? Because in order to stay free, a lot of times the things that keep us bound keep us too serious, right? They keep us a little too grungy, a little too like whatever. What's going on, TJ? It's too much. And so you have to know that in order to stay free so that you can move in purpose and know what you're supposed to be doing, it's imperative that you laugh. Did you know that your body doesn't know the difference between a fake laugh and a real laugh? And laughter induces endorphins. It promotes so much brain health. If you look up the studies on laughter, the Bible says that laughter does good like a medicine. It's like medicine to your soul. So if you are down, you haven't found yourself smiling, you're sitting in the car like, you're driving to work like, sitting at home, sitting at your desk, whatever you're doing, if you're not doing it with a smile, if you don't have genuine joy or happiness behind what you're doing, you need some laughter in your life. And that is a tool in your arsenal to stay free. Sometimes you just need to put something on that's going to make you laugh. You need to keep people around you where y'all can laugh and y'all can joke together. And I don't mean foolishness, but fun is imperative. If you're enjoying yourself with your spouse, your significant other, your children, enjoy your life. That's an arsenal. In your arsenal, that's a weapon. That is a weapon in the arsenal to stay free from the things that keep us bound. Because a lot of times depression comes with no smiles. When anxiety knocks on your door, it comes with no smiles. Though fear does not come with laughter. So you have to look at how you're going to counteract these things that keep you back, whatever it is. And even if it's not those things that are keeping you back, that thing that's going to get you to the next level, you still need to do it in a spirit of joy, in a spirit of peace, to be happy and to enjoy your purpose. If you're an entrepreneur, you're building a business and you're finding yourself not enjoying it, you might need to recalibrate a little bit. Okay, recalibrate. Don't take yourself so seriously all the time, because God, he allows us to laugh. Laughter is a part of life. It's a human emotion, something that we do, a response to something that's funny, to enjoyment, to fun. So that is a weapon that we need in our arsenal. Do not forget to laugh. And I do want to talk about like just what it's like to remember to laugh. And so we're going to talk about that next month as we go through these different points and pillars in order to stay free. So some weapons that we can utilize and why we're moving forward into freedom. The next thing I want to talk about is life. Somebody put that down in the chat. Life. Like we talked about laughter, having fun, bringing vibrancy back into your world, right? Life in and of itself is valuable. There is no price tag on the breath of God that's in your lungs. There's no price tag on that. That's why we go hard in rescuing those who are captive, those who are involved in trafficking. That's why wars have been fought. That's why people go like they snap for a life. Someone takes a life and you want to take another life. That's because life invokes something in you. Life is priceless, y'all. It's priceless. There is no value that can be stamped on your life. And so when we think about our life, think about the steps that you're taking to live a free life, to live a happy life. As happiness is your choice and you move forward into this free space and you stay free, what are you doing to make sure that you remind yourself that your life is priceless? Your life is priceless. There's nothing that anybody can do to replace you. No, people can maybe, like, and I think that this is one of the worst things I've heard people who deal with child loss say. When people say they lost a child and they're grieving the loss of a child, someone goes, oh, you can just have another one. No, that's not how that works. There's a life there, and everyone is an original. God created us so original that no human ever in the history of humanity is alike. No one. No one has your voice. No one has your fingerprint. No one has the DNA that's ingrained in your molecular structure. That if anybody had to dig you up years from now, you'd be very different than anybody else they dug up next to you. That's not how that works. Even twins are different. Come from the same womb, same egg, same sperm. They're still different. They still can be defined when you look at their chromosomes on the graph. When you look at the DNA on the graph, they're different. So if God took that kind of time to put a stamp on you and said, that's an original. Stamp on you, that's an original. Stephanie's an original. Zandre's an original. Like, y'all are originals. TJ, original. No one is like you. Joy, you're an original. No one's like you. B.A. Smooth, you're an original. There will be no one that comes after you that is you. No one. And I know we talk about that a lot in circles, and we say nobody has what you have and you got to put your own stuff on it. But do you know that at the molecular structure, there's no one like you? And that there's no one like God either. There's no one like the God that I serve. He's a living God. So there's no one like him. And if you're made in his image, there's no one like you either. Do we ever think about that? So when you have that kind of original mark on you, exclusive, which is why I want to do that with the merch. This merch is exclusive. When February's over, you will never see this design again, because once it's out and it's done, right? What's going on, Jayspirations? So as we talk about life, I want us to think through valuing our life, valuing where we are, valuing those next steps, and valuing why it's important for us to stay free, because you want to live a long, healthy, and prosperous life. And that's why we take care of ourselves. That's why self-neglect is such a thing that we have to eradicate, because you taking care of you and nurturing you and loving yourself is so important for the preservation of your life and the lives that will come after you. What's going on, HGIG? And I'm super excited to share that with you all, because a lot of times we do things in a sense that doesn't value our lives, right? When we make certain moves, it shows us. Again, we talk about building trust with ourselves. It shows you tell yourself, you know what, we don't really rock with you like that. I don't care enough about you to take care of you in this way. I don't care enough about you to nurture you. I don't care enough about you to work through this with you, to talk you through this, to calm you down. You got to self-talk yourself like that. So it's like, if that's what we're saying to ourselves, what's the next move? What's the next step? What's going on, Diamond Mind Results? And I really want us to really take a step back and think through, what does that look like? What does that look like for you to value your life to the point where every move you make, you fight for the freedom that you have, and you fight for the freedom that's coming for those after you? You have to fight for it. It has been fought. And so as we move into this Black History Month, it's extremely important for us to talk about why Black Lives Matter. It's important to talk about African American History Month as a whole, because that history, knowing that people value life, they valued a life that they can leave a legacy for. They valued the right to love and the right to live enough to fight for the rights that we have today. So it's important for us to talk through those things. So that's a tool in your arsenal. We're going to talk about that next one. We're going to have a whole live on life and how that is a tool in your arsenal and what that looks like. The next one I want to talk about is love. We're going to go through love because, Valentine's Day is coming up and we can't just not talk about love. Valentine's Day, right? And I love talking about that. What's going on, Vanity? I love talking about love because love is such a beautiful thing. Whether it's love between two people, whether it's romantic love, when you guys have you fall in love. I don't feel like people really fall in love. I feel like you make a bunch of choices real fast, right? Because love is a choice, okay? Yeah, Vanity totally could come on and go live with me. You know that's an option here. This space is always open for a bricklayer. So I would really like us to remember that a weapon that we have, in our arsenal to stay free is to remember that you have not just the capacity to love, You have the ability to love, and you are able to make the choice to love every single day. You can make the choice to love yourself out of self-neglect. You can make the choice to love those who don't love you. You can make the choice to love those who are all, like, have all kinds of energy. I mean, I even encountered something today where this dude's energy was just completely off. And I was like, what's going on with him? Like, it's love. Because the Bible teaches us that God's perfect love casts out all fear. Yes. And it's a marker. It's like super important for me. Like, it's a marker to remember that with my faith, I believe in Jesus Christ, and I believe in the act that he did was an act of love. The reason why we have the word passion actually comes from the life of Jesus the Christ, who lived and died and raised from the dead. So that life that we have, when we talk about passion, and it's even in a sensual way, it's because you burn with something so deeply that you'd be willing to give your life for it. So next time somebody says, oh, what's your passion? Are you willing to die for that thing? Because that word passion comes from the Lord Jesus. So a lot of times we pull things out of, like Christian religion, and we don't realize that the living God has stamped his approval on a lot of different stuff, and humanity just uses it all willy-nilly. That word passion comes from love. The action of love that Jesus did on the cross, that's priceless. So, in the midst of thinking about love, as we move free, do you love freely? Do you love unconditionally? Or do you love with condition? Do you love people to get something back, to get love reciprocated from you? Or do you love from an honest and a genuine and truthful place? How do you love? Are you learning how to love people better? Are you learning how to love yourself better? Because these are the tools that we need to stay free. Because when we begin to get into this mindset and we look back at ourselves and we say, you know what, I love myself as long as I'm fulfilling my goals. I love myself as long as I'm winning all the time. I love myself as long as I'm doing things right. I love myself as long as ... whatever. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to learn to love so freely and so unconditionally and so passionately that you're willing to give life for it. Do you love your spouse that way? Do you love your children that way, where you would give up the things that you want to hold on to so deeply? And this is like marriage advice that anybody could give, to be honest with you. Do you value being right, or do you value your marriage? Which one do you value? You want to be right? Go ahead, you can be right, but you may not be doing it in love. You can speak the truth in love. You can love. Love becomes, and I won't say that it becomes easy, but the road begins to be smoother. It's like riding on a bumpy road that has pavement with potholes versus that nice paved taxpayer road that you ride. You're like, wow, they paved this road? That's nice. Y'all know that one road you got in your city that you ride down, you're like, dang, they don't never pave this road. And then, especially during COVID, they done paved all the roads down here. And you're like, dang, this is so nice. I'm so glad they paved this road. That's how people feel when you love them well. That's how people feel when you love them well. They're like, dang, she used to be a little bumpy. I'm glad she paved that road. That road of love in her heart. It's super important for us to know that we have to love. Because in order for you to be free from that negative, nasty demon of unforgiveness, and that's what I call it, because you telling yourself that you'll never forgive whoever or whatever happened to you, that's going to keep you bound, straight up. Don't even say, I'm about to stay free if you got unforgiveness in your heart. Don't even utter the words. Just leave it alone. Say, I'm going to stay forgiven. Forgive people. You got to forgive people. It's not about them. It's about you. It's about how we deal with us. And that's what we talk about here, right? We talk about how we're going to deal with us, because we're the only ones that have to stay free. So the first point, laughter. We're going to value laughter. That's a weapon in your arsenal to stay free. You're going to value your life. You're going to value the lives of those around you. And then you're also going to value love. Love well. Don't be afraid to be in love. Don't be afraid to love people. Don't be afraid to love well. It's hard. It can be hard to love, especially sandpaper people, right? Sandpaper people are prickly, man. But you got to love well. And the last one is legacy. So we're going to go through actually all of these in Black History Month and in the month of love, in the month of February. We're going to go through all of these because I feel like they all deserve their special time. And I have points to give all of you about these, because when we talk about getting the weapons together for our arsenal to stay free, this thing is a fight. You have to fight to stay free from the things that keep you back and the things that keep you bound. You have to fight to get these things off because life continues to happen, right? So that's why I say stay free, because life continues to happen. It's not just that something happened to you, now you're free, boom, we good. That's it. No, things will continue to happen. Things will continue to come up. The more you improve yourself, the more you deal with your own trauma, the more you deal with things that happened to you when you were younger, even when you were an adult. Because for me, my trauma was adulthood trauma. It wasn't childhood trauma. I had adulthood trauma. Okay? So those things that happen to you, even on a daily basis. Let's talk about legacy. That's the one that I absolutely am super excited about. You are staying free for your legacy. You are staying free for your legacy. The legacy of freedom belongs to us because someone before us valued freedom. Straight up. Someone said, I will be free at all costs. I don't care what it takes. I'm going to be free. Somebody said that before, for me to sit here today. And I love to talk about just us, right? Just who I am. And y'all know I like to be transparent with y'all. I looked at my family tree, and I know even those who were with me, who I was raised with, like my grandparents, they told me the stories. And I'm sure all of us who come from BIPOC backgrounds, if you're, an indigenous person or a Latina or a Latino person, if you're from any ethnic group, if you're an immigrant, if your grandparents came here under duress or, fleeing persecution from anywhere, if you're a person that came from somewhere else, that your grandparents have stories. People are people. And I know because of our colors and ethnic backgrounds, we all have our specific stories, but y'all know all of that trauma, we all dealing with it. We all dealing with the past sins and hurts of our people from the past. So I want us to understand, I talk about African American people because I'm Black. That's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about women. I'm going to talk about Black because that's who I am. And I want you to talk about your stuff too. Because it's important for you for the world to know that there were people that came before you so that you could stand in your purpose. There was somebody that, and I talked about this a few weeks ago in my live, how that line in Black Panther, for me, doesn't quite resonate. The line that Killmonger says is like, just throw me in a river with my ancestors. Like, nah, bruh. I'm about to fight to live this thing. If you believe in it that deeply, you ain't gonna cut my throat. I'm gonna live to see this thing through. Because the only reason I'm alive today is because somebody lived to see it through. That's what I'm about. My grandparents have plenty of stories that talk about just keeping your head down to get through. My grandfather, who's from Florida, my maternal grandfather, was in Florida, and both my grandparents were in Florida on my mom's side. And a lot of my family is from the North and the South. So I have free Black people in my lineage, and I have slave Black people in my lineage. And so on my maternal side, my grandfather lived in such a swampy, hick kind of town, like in the outskirts of town, that he would tell a story that he didn't necessarily have trauma that he talked about, really. He was just a cool, kind of laid back guy. He was like, I just want to live my life. I just want to move to the North. He joined the military, took care of his family, married a nice girl, my grandma. They settled down. They moved to the North. He got a good factory job, got some experience, worked for New Jersey Transit, retired, worked for the church, hung out with his grandkids, lived a great life, and passed away and went home to be with the Lord. And it's like, I don't necessarily have that particular, for his story, maybe he never shared it with us, but even from those around him, there were no stories of, like trauma or racial trauma. But when he told pieces of his story, history clicked for me, right? So he would say, all I remember about my childhood is that, we just were told that if you hear a car, jump in the bushes. Now for us, it's like, oh, okay, that's, hear a car, jump in the bushes. Not thinking, if this man was born in 1920, and they're 6 years apart, so my grandma was born in 1930, it's like 1924. If you're told to jump in the bushes when you hear a car, that basically means you hear a white person coming. And because you're not allowed to have a car, okay? You're not allowed to have a car. And if they catch you out here in the woods, they're probably just going to kill you or hang you or something, right? So put one and one together. And of course, in his childhood mind, he didn't really know what he was doing. He just knew to follow the rules. But because he followed the rules and kept his head down, it doesn't make him less of an advocate of his legacy. It doesn't make him less of someone who stood for something, to raise his children well, and to make it long enough so that he could marry a girl, migrate to the North, and start a family and start a legacy. And I'm here because he did that. I'm here because he just did his work, went home, loved well, and that was it. There's no shame in that. There's no shame in that story. Sometimes we seem to demonize that. It's like, oh, stand up for something. Sometimes y'all need to sit down. Like, I'm cool with that. I'm here today because somebody sat down, like, and just did his job and just was like, y'all got that. Not that I'm not opposed to it. Not that I'm not for the cause, but I want to live. I want to raise my family. I want to raise a legacy. And no story is less than the other. No story of, Martin Luther King being assassinated or those who have been assassinated. There's no lesser story. There's still something there where they left a legacy and they left a mark on this world and they lived long enough to provide legacy to us. That's just what it is, y'all. So be excited about the legacy you're going to leave. And the reason why you need to be free is because your legacy is watching you. Your legacy is watching you. Those of you who have children, your legacy is watching you. Those of you who don't have children, people around you are still watching you. Those who are coming after you, you impact a life. Even if you never touch children in general, like if you never reach a child, if you never teach a child, if you never mentor anyone, really you'd be doing your own legacy a disservice. But somewhere along the line in your peer circle, that particular person they probably have kids or they're going to leave a legacy. So please do not forget that in your weapon to stay free, if you don't remember anything else, you need to remember that you need to leave a legacy here. You have to leave something on this earth, even if it's raising a child. I heard this really dope quote. It was like, if I don't do anything else for the kingdom of God, maybe my major purpose for the kingdom is to raise a God-fearing citizen that's raised in their purpose. And so many people who are great, who we see in the forefront, say, if it weren't for my mother, if it weren't for my father, if it weren't for my mentor, I wouldn't be here. Those people never really get the shine. It's the person in the forefront that really get the shine. It's that person that impacted them, though. Oprah Winfrey herself, she's like, if it wasn't for my teacher. Any celebrity story, I bet you if you go back, you ask them, what was that turning point for you? They go, if it wasn't for my teacher, if it wasn't for Mr. So-and-so, if it wasn't for my baseball coach. That's legacy. So are you thinking about that when you sit there and you have this block that you can't get free from? When you can't get off the blocks? When you can't run that race? When you can't jump over that hurdle? Are you thinking about your legacy? Are you thinking, hey, I love my life so much that I gotta get through this. I gotta get past this. I gotta get over it. It creates tenacity in you when you recognize that this is bigger than you. So I just want to leave y'all with that. I want to encourage you. If you have questions or comments, definitely put them in the chat right now. It's question time and we can go for it, especially if you want to go live. So if you want to put anything in the chat, go ahead and do it. Next month, we're going to spend our lives going through these major points because I feel that these are important points for all of us to take in so that we can really get down to the details of understanding why we are moving toward freedom. And freedom, I don't want people to think that freedom means perfection, and I also don't want you to think that you have to be in the depths of despair in order to get free. There's something that we all can improve on, that we all can grow in. So I just want us to be encouraged about that. Laughter. Laughter is in your weapon. Like, that's a weapon that you have in your arsenal. Loving your life. Life, the value of life is in your arsenal. Love is in your arsenal. If you don't love, you ain't got nothing. Y'all can talk all this stuff. You can build a brand, make millions, billions, billions. I don't care how much money you making. If you're a nasty person and you ain't got no love in your heart, don't mean diddly. Squat. Absolutely not. It's great that people can build brands and do all these wonderful things. But trust me, when people get up close to you, they're going to smell whether you love or not. You can smell that a mile away. I'm good on that. And legacy. Are you leaving a legacy? Do you care about your legacy? And if you haven't thought deeply about legacy, not just money, but what are you putting, like what are you putting in that repository of those around you to leave a mark on them? For that person to look back and be like, that person mentored me. That person taught me something. That person said an encouraging word in the middle of my darkest hour and it changed the trajectory of my whole life. That person sold into my ministry or my business. They don't know what that $20 meant to me. You never know what you're doing to people by loving them well and knowing that you're leaving a legacy with every footprint and every handprint that you have. So questions, comments, let's go. This is a free-for-all. All right, I just want to reiterate, when I open up, this is one of the shirts that's going to drop. Once they drop in February, that's going to be it. I'm never printing these again. That's how we're going to do it, okay? So these are exclusive Black History tees and hoodies. And once they drop, they're going to drop, and that's going to be it. The other ones are going to be, I believe I'm going to do embroidery, and these are screen printed. So I'm super excited to share those with y'all. So look out for that over the weekend, and they're definitely going to be up and ready for Black History Month. So I'm super excited. So thank you all for joining me. You know I don't like to keep y'all long. Definitely ask some questions. Put some questions in the chat, because I like to stay on here and kind of chat with y'all a little bit, because that has been a lot of fun. So thank you all for joining me. Let me see if there's any comments that I might have missed. Y'all are super dope. There's a few of y'all in here. Go ahead and ask some questions. Hey Vanity, you want to go live? I'm proud of you too, Vanity. Super awesome. Thank you guys for being here. Questions. Come on, at least one question. Steph's always got a good question. Sam, Theo, Zandre, whoever else is in here, ask some questions. Y'all always got dope questions, and it always sends me down another like rabbit trail of fun things to talk about. Those are the things that we'll be talking about in the next few weeks. I actually have some special treats for you all in the next few weeks, because we have some interviews coming up. What's going on, Arthur? We're in question time. Arthur, you got any questions, or throw a question out there? We're gonna do this is a free for all right now. So that's a question. Sam says, Vanity, are you going live? I can't personally answer that question, but I know she wants to enjoy it, which is super cool. She wants to enjoy it from the sideline. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about boundaries. Want to talk about boundaries? That might be a good topic. I'm messing with y'all. This is fun. All right, y'all know how it goes. If I don't have no questions, how long will you build on this topic after February? I actually don't know what's after February. I'm going to talk about these 4 points for the month of February, because that's kind of how I plan my lives out. And I really do, I plan my lives out for the tone of the pulse of the people, right? And so I spend time in prayer for you all, for anybody who's listening to my live, and that's how I get what I'm supposed to speak about. So this is what I'm supposed to speak about February, and somewhere in February, if I get what comes after that, then we'll talk that through. But that's how that works. So just know that if this is on time for you, it's because I spent some time trying to be in the moment. What's going on, Maylene Couture? And if you don't know, follow May.Lean Couture, because that's my mom, and she has a mask business. It says Stay Free, bro. It's the Stay Free logo with the cross in it. So the question was, what does your shirt say? And then here's the question: was it ever hard for you to love? Absolutely. It's hard for me to love now. It's hard. It is hard for me to love. And then we got another one in the chat. So we'll go to that one. Was it ever hard for me to love? Yes, it was. And I'm going to give some examples. And I'm going to talk a lot about this probably toward the end of the year. But I really do have a heart and a passion to talk people through spiritual abuse, right? And what I mean by spiritual abuse is when people get connected to spiritual groups, whether it be a cult or anything like that. The other question is, put the question in the question box, that way I don't lose it. But it says, how do we get a chance to stay free? We'll come back to it. But so for that, like being hard to love, it's been hard to love the people of God. It's been hard to love the people who love God. It's been hard to love them, because these are people who stand for something, right? So I always find that it's hard to love someone who's lost your trust. If someone tells you, right, especially if you're in a close relationship, you know how this goes, right? Or a marriage, or, you know, even family members. A lot of times I feel like family can really do this right here, right? Parents especially, if no shade to you, mom, right? But they can do this, right? They say they're supposed to love you, right? They say they're going to do ... But then they don't. They may turn their back on you. They may betray you. A best friend, someone who's tight, who's close with you, and they step on your toes and they do something different. That's because, number one, they put out the expectation. You received the expectation and held them to that standard, and then they didn't meet it. Straight up. That's just the general way that it goes, right? They put it out there that they could do something for you. You held them to the expectation. They did not meet the expectation, and now you don't trust them. Or now you feel hurt. Something's there. And I feel like a lot of times people who are supposed to, right, which is why I think we have an issue with the police, right, when it comes to Black Lives Matter and crime, because those who have put out the expectation of upholding the law, right, authority, I should be able to trust you, I should be able to, whatever it is. That's why when people have daddy issues or mom issues, that's why you're supposed to protect me, nurture me. The expectation is high. A husband, for my own life, like, yeah, absolutely. So we're supposed to love, and for my ex-husband, it was, you're supposed to love me, not hurt me. You're supposed to, protect me, not make sure that we're homeless. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this is nuts. So when you have that expectation that runs deep like that, it hurts when people don't meet that expectation. And not only do they not meet it, but then sometimes they just go complete left and they're like, oh no, I didn't plan on doing that in the first place. And it like digs the knife in deeper. So I feel like those people, those not just the sandpaper people, but really like dagger people, like they're hard to love. People who do things to you that didn't meet your expectations, I feel like it's hard to love them. When I say hard to love, I mean that you do not readily give them the shirt off your back. You do not readily forgive them. You do not readily make the choice to walk in love with them. And what does it look like to walk in love with someone? It basically means that you are able to make the choice to, whether it's like it's selflessness, like, and it's really hard to define in general, but we all know what love can look like and feel like. And to be honest, if you're not a servant in the sense that you're willing to be at peace with that person, you're willing to not be at odds with that person, what does that look like? So yes, I find that sometimes it's hard to love the people who set an expectation, they don't meet it, and they violate your trust. Those people are hard to love. Absolutely. So it was very hard to love my ex through that. Did I love him through it? Yes. Do I still love him through it from a distance? Absolutely. All right, next question. How do we get a chance to start free? And is that stay free or start free? How do we get a chance to stay free or start free? I need a clarifying question because y'all know I like to be real specific. I'm going to come back. Stay free or start free? Put it in the chat. What's your favorite part of your business? This is my favorite part. People. So if anybody doesn't know already, stay. All right, we'll come back to it. My favorite part of my business is people. Watching people change. Watching people light up when they go, oh, I can do that? Oh, yeah, I can do, like, getting encouraged. That's my favorite part. I'm in business because I love people. That's why I'm in business. I'm in business because I love people. And because I know that I have something to give to the world, I know that God has created me for a purpose, and I know that He gave me a voice and He gave me this personality for a reason. That's it. That's why I'm in business. That's why I'm in business. My favorite part of business is being able to talk to people, being able to give them something that is worth something in their life, leaving a legacy. Like, that's important to me. And my thing is, if you're not getting anything out of this, what's the point in making money off of it? Like, that's pointless. There's plenty of ways to make money that have nothing to do with people. People teach you that kind of stuff all the time. Like, yeah, you can start an Amazon store, whatever. Like, you can make an awful lot of money, stocks, whatever, that have nothing to do with people. But that is my favorite part, Stephanie, of business, is watching people come alive when you say something that you know came from God for them. Okay, so back to how do we get a chance to stay free? I'm gonna put it up there anyway. How do we get a chance to stay free? So I'm gonna answer it the way I'm hearing it, right? You make a decision. That's it, right? So if I haven't shared this particular story with anybody, I've shared it a few times before, but I'm gonna keep sharing it because this is what God has done for me so that I could be free. When I was, a few years back, I was extremely depressed. It was about 2 or 3 years into my marriage. I was very depressed. I was very down. And with my name being Joy, it was super, like, annoying for Joy to be depressed. Like, that's another level of depression. So it's like, oh, your name is Joy. Why are you so sad? Absolutely. Like, that was pretty difficult for me. Okay. I've always been a bubbly, outgoing, kind of, like vibrant person. And then, life was hitting me like over the head. We didn't really have any money. I was married at the time. I had lost my church family and friends because of just what we were talking about. People who had betrayed me and backstabbed me and were talking about me behind my back and all kinds of lies. Like, craziness was happening with this church that we're a part of that is spiritually abusing people and is doing it to this day. I literally was in a dark place. The job that I got, I was the only person working in my marriage. And the job that I got, I had a boss that was really on my tail all the time. She was extremely abusive and she was abusing her power. And she purposefully was able to stay at the job that she was at because she went to school through the job. And basically, if you go to school and they pay your tuition, you owe them 2 years. So they couldn't fire her. So she felt like she could do whatever she wanted to do to people. So basically, that was hard for me, and my anxiety was so high to the point where I would come home and I didn't know what kind of mood my husband would be in either, and I started getting panic attacks. So I didn't even know what that was. I was like, I worked in mental health, but I was like, me? Panic attacks? Like, what? No. So I started having panic attacks. I would find myself in the bathroom curled up. One time I couldn't go to a staff meeting. Like, I was there and my supervisor was like, where are you? She's blowing my phone up and I'm in the bathroom literally having a panic attack. It was my first time going to counseling. I was like, I need to go to counseling because there's too much happening in my life right now. And I'm like, I'm losing it. So no matter what was going on in my life, I was anchored in God. Like, I had given my life to God at a young age. My dad's a pastor, and a pastor who had a church and then lost his church, like all kinds of different things going on. Like life was in shambles at the time for me. And so I was like, God, this can't be the end of it. Like, what is happening to me? This is not me. I'm looking in the mirror. I don't know who I am because this is not me. I don't want to be this person. The only thing that was really keeping me afloat is I was teaching. I teach hip hop dance, so I haven't done it in a few years, but I'm a dancer. So I was teaching classes, and the only thing that would keep me afloat is them kids every week. Like, I would go and I would serve. I would give these kids all that I had. I would dance. I would teach dance. I would make up choreography, dances, whatever. And that's really the only thing that was keeping me going. And my therapist was like, no, you need to keep doing that. You need to keep doing what you love. Because I was like, why am I doing this? Like, they don't know what I'm going through. Like, I'm going to work and I'm tired. I'm burnt out. And so for me, it was a choice to say, do I want to be this person for the rest of my life? Or do I know who I am? And that's how I talk to myself. I'd be like, sis, do you know who you are? You don't know who you are today. That's cool. I'll catch you later. Or, no, you need to get it together. So for me, my chance for staying free was that moment when I laid in the bed and I asked God, I begged God. I was like, why am I going through this? Why are people harassing me? Why does my husband not love me? Because at the time I was like, this is crazy. Like, he's throwing stuff in the house. At the time I had gotten the vision for my first business, for Resound Fitness. And it was like business was becoming a reality to me, and it was the first time I had gotten business. I had this journal. I wrote all my ideas out. I was doing research for a studio and all this kind of stuff because at the time that's what I wanted to do for the community was teach dance classes, making connections in the city of Philadelphia for different rec centers and stuff. And like one day he just broke it, like just ripped it up and was like, so what? Nobody cares. Like, God gives you a purpose, but he don't give everybody purpose like that. I don't know why I can't, ... And was putting his anxieties and his frustrations and all of his stuff on me. And so I was like, God, this can't be it. Like, I don't know what's going on here. So I cried out to God. And my chance to stay free was giving my life fully to God and was like, you are a living God. If you say that you're alive and all this stuff in this Bible, if you say that it's the truth, then you need to show me for real, like right now. Because I feel like this is when it really matters, right? Like when my life is going through hell. So if you said that you saved me and you said that I'm free, then how come I'm dealing with this? And I know not everybody subscribes to this thought process, but because it happened to me, it's my personal experience. I can't say anything else about it, but this is how you can get a chance to stay free. When you truly dedicate your life to God, he can show you a way out. And so he took me to that passage of scripture as I laid there crying in my bed. And I was like, what is this? So whom the Son sets free is free indeed. And I kept hearing that because it was preached to me all my life, but I didn't really know what it meant. And then when I had this vision, like I was kind of falling asleep, like when you're in that crying in that deep place, you're kind of falling asleep or you just pass out kind of from being so exhausted. I had this vision of myself in a cold, hard cell all the way in the back corner. And I'm sitting in the cell and the water's dripping in front of me. It's cold. It's a hard floor. and I'm just balled up crying. But out the corner of my eye, I can see the door of this cave. It has bars on the sides of it. And it has bars like it's a prison. It's like some sort of third world prison that I'm in. And I'm all the way in the back of it. And I see this door and it's swinging wide open. And beyond the doors are meadows, butterflies. It's just gorgeous. Like this gorgeous blue sky. It kind of was like a dusk sky. And it was just freedom. And as I'm sitting there and I'm thinking this through and I'm seeing this in my head, I hear in myself, all you have to do is walk out. I did the work. That's what I heard. And I was like, well, I've heard the voice of God before, not as I'm talking to you here, but it's this thing in your spirit that you know it's not you. It's like a thought that comes to your mind and to your heart that you know you didn't think on your own. That's God. It's talking to you. And it's this overwhelming peace that comes over you. And I heard God say, I did the work. All you got to do is walk out and stay out. Now, Stay Free didn't show up until, I say, about 6 or 7 years later. But that's how I got free from anxiety and depression. And I remembered all the things that I had been taught in my childhood. And I started looking in the Bible and I started reading all these scriptures about freedom and how the person who has fear, because anxiety is fear, and the person who has fear is not perfected in love. So that's why love is a tool in your toolbox, because if you don't recognize that God's love being filled in your heart is the thing that's going to cause you to be free and stay free, fear is always going to overwhelm you. It's always going to overtake you. If you're dealing with fear, you need love. You need the love of God. Straight up. There's really nothing else to say about fear. It's not willpower. The scriptures say it's not by might, not by power, but by my spirit, says the Lord. The spirit of God. God is love. First John teaches you that he says God is love. And in fear involves torment. And the person who fears is not perfected in love. It's right there in the Bible. Like, it's super clear. And it's like a lot of times we pull all these other concepts from Christianity and from the Bible, but we don't pull the stuff that can impact our lives and shake us out of who we are. Because a lot of times we're trying to deal with this stuff ourselves. And we don't have to. It's because God, who is love, the essence of love, has been breathed on the inside of you. And if you can tap into him and say, okay, by the Spirit of God, I can walk out of this thing, no matter what it is, whatever conundrum you feel like you're in that you can't get out of, you can walk out of it if you accept him. You can walk right on out, because he already took care of all the repercussions of you being in the situation you're in. He already took care of fear, shame, guilt, all of it. He already took care of all of it. All you have to do is live the life that he's laid out for you. That's it. It sounds simple. There's some steps that you got to take to stay free, right? That we have to do. But I literally, in my mind, I saw myself get up and walk out. And that was my chance. And I was like, this is it. I have to stay free. Like, I have to stay out of this. I have to stay out of the situation. And that's how I got free from anxiety and depression. I've never had a panic attack since. Word on everything. No panic attacks. I felt, even when I had my son, postpartum depression, everybody's like, okay, be careful because you have a history of depression. And I was like, well, I'm free. So, and I know what to do to stay free, right? So I know that was a long answer, but I hope that blessed you all. How can I help someone to get free? I think that's it right there, though. I'm gonna come back to that one too. I'm gonna keep going on this one. How can I help someone to get free? And that, I feel like what I just shared is it, though. To get free, they have to really accept the fact that there is something bigger than yourself. There's a live that I did, maybe like one of the first 2 or 3 lives. I'll share it with you when I find it. But basically, you have to accept that you are not the person that can free yourself. Just accept the fact that if this person that you want to help is in bondage, they can't free themselves. Free people, heal people, right? So I can lead you to freedom, right? In a helpful way. But to be honest, if I don't recognize that I need something greater than myself, that's why we're infatuated with superheroes and all this kind of stuff. That's because we know that there is something else supernatural. People who like UFOs and all that kind of stuff, that's because we like the supernatural. We like the extravagant. That's why, like, all these movies pop the way they do, because the human race knows that there is something bigger than itself. We know that there's something that's bigger than us, that makes us stronger, that makes us faster, that makes us think on a higher level. We know that. And we say that it's all in us, but if it was all in us, then we all would be elevated. It's not. It's just numbers. It's facts. It's just the truth. So with knowing that there's something outside of yourself that can pull you out of that, the best thing that I would say and how I help people get free is I would lead them to the one who can give freedom. Lead them to the one who can give freedom. What's going on, Miss Molina? Lead them to the one who frees. Because you can't free nobody in the sense of you can't go into their mind, right? And their thoughts and their heart and change everything about it and be like, boom, you free. That's not how that works, right? They're the only person that can do it. They're the only person that can sit and have that time with God. What's going on, Mr. Trent? They're the only person that can do that. It has to be between them and God. That's it. And I know we got all this other stuff floating around talking about how people can elevate themselves and get free and da-da-da-da-da. But I'm going to tell you what works and what stays, right? Because a lot of stuff is up to you to keep. But see, when you walk with the living God, it's something that he keeps. And all you got to do is maintain it. So that's why the word is stay free. Because all you got to do is maintain the freedom that you've already been given. That's like the secret sauce about being a believer in Jesus Christ. Like, that's the secret sauce right there. People are like, oh, it's just church and da-da-da. Nah, forget all of that. There's truth to this thing. Because the Bible talks about God being a living God. He's not a statue. He's not just an essence or whatever. He's alive. Like, living, breathing. Like, they can't find his body nowhere. To this day. Historical documentation of a man who lived, died, and they can't find his body. Straight up. So even outside of that, you get free by giving your life to the one who gives freedom. And those who have been given freedom begin to show and point back to the one who gives freedom. That's what happens. So when you find something good, what do? You share it, right? Everybody's like, oh, share this live, share it. It's good, right? And I appreciate y'all if y'all are sharing it. I love that. If you find a dope mentor, like Bricklayers Community, y'all in here on deck, we share that with people because we believe in it. We love it, right? Same thing. If you believe in something and you love something, you're going to share it because it impacted you. That's why I can't really say but 5 words without talking about God, because he freed me. I can't say anything else about it. It's a life-changing experience. So I just encourage you. You can help someone get free by pointing them to the one who gives freedom. And if you haven't been able to walk anybody through that in that particular process, it's not no prayer you pray and all that kind of stuff. And if you're walking it together, tell them that you'll do it with them. Be like, I'll walk with you with this. I don't know how you can really get free, but I know somebody who gives freedom. And that's really what following God is all about. That's why people follow Jesus, because he was like, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to God except through me. Follow me. Watch what I do for you. And that's what people did. They followed him. They dropped everything they had and they followed him. And it's been happening ever since. And you can't say it ain't real because it's been happening for over 2,000 years. So something got to be real about it. And I just say, if you don't believe in it, you might want to just try. You don't hurt by trying to follow a God. People change religion all the time. Just try. Try and see. How can we begin to trust people? That's a good one. So if you have questions, we're just doing Q&A, just hanging out. How do you begin to trust someone? I would say evaluate if they're worthy of your trust. I just start there. Are they worthy of it? Have they proven themselves to be worthy of trust? Because love comes without the conditions, right? We love everybody, right? But trust, that's a boundary conversation, right? Like we talked about that before, like having a boundary convo. What's going on, Miss Samantha Ray? That's a boundary convo. So it's like, are you worthy of trust? Have you proven yourself to be trustworthy? And I would say, start with us. Do you trust you? And you know we talk about this a lot, right? Steph, you're on here a few times. So like learning to trust you. Do you keep promises to yourself? Do you and this is something I work on with me too. I'm like, sis, you said you was going to wake up early. What's going on? You said you was going to go to bed. Like, stop acting like a kid. Like, stop. Because I'm a night owl, y'all. Like, I like to be up at night. That's just me. I was born at night. 10, 11 at night. Like, I just am. So, I try. Like, all that stuff about waking up early and I like to be up at night. My best thoughts come at night. Like, I be on fire. I be like, ooh, this is good. Like, I get all my best work done after hours. I just do. But honestly, do I trust me? Do I trust myself? What's going on, Miss OVC? And if you are in here and you just jumped on, we just actually talked about a period in my life when I went to teach dance class, and this is the dance director, y'all, Miss Nubian OBC. She's dope, Erika, and we were just talking about that. So look at God. Oh, sis, you cute too. Thank you. She is, and I'm gonna give you. I love giving people their flowers. This is the reason why I saw how Black excellence works, right? She has a dance company. She's in education. She's amazing, and she leaves legacy. She leaves love wherever she goes. That's just the truth. And when I saw the way Erika ran that business, and she ran that dance studio, and I was like, I might be able to do this. That had me thinking, like, I've been with business owners. I've been with people who not just work, but they do 9 to 5, and they help their community, and they raise their children, and they're a loving wife to their husband. Like, that, I've seen it happen. She's a living example of it. We were just talking about how that actually working for you got me through a dark season. So here's a perfect example. Talk about a living God. That's not attraction. That's God that she showed up. We were just talking about you, Erika. So I love you too. So trusting people, learning to trust yourself. It's important to trust you. Keep promises to yourself. Make little promises to yourself. Tell yourself, all right, we're going to cook dinner tonight. Cook yourself dinner. If you say, oh, okay, I'm going to make sure whatever that habit is for you, like me, it's like my laundry. My laundry is an ongoing like thing between me and my kid. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to close that loop. If I tell myself I'm going to do one load of laundry today and I do it and I put it away, excuse me, y'all, and I'm super successful at it, I've built trust with myself because I made a promise to myself and I told myself I would do it, and then I showed up for me. So do that. You can begin to trust people by trusting yourself and showing up for you, because you can't hold someone to an expectation that you don't hold yourself to. And I feel like that's where we go wrong a lot of times, that we holding other people to this other expectation. We want people to love us, but we don't love us. And that's where that insecurity piece comes in. We want people to be trusted, but we're not trustworthy, or we can't trust us with promises we make to ourselves. And I just feel like that's real hypocritical. Like, we just have to do a lot of introspection. And since I'm not saying that that's you, it's just that all of us have to do that. Like, we really have to begin with us. Do I trust myself? Do I know how to trust someone? Is this person worthy of my trust? Have they burned me before? And I believe that you can go out on a limb. Again, I'm a hopeless optimist. Like, I let people, they get trust. Like, I trust you until I don't. Just straight up. And then there are people that are opposite. They like, no, I don't trust nobody until. Trust is not love. So love, that's something that you need to do, and it just comes out of your heart. Trust, you ain't got to trust everybody. Stranger danger. Okay? All right. Another question. Do we have another one? And how do you know if you have completely healed? That's a dope question. You can't hold people to your standard. It actually is not fair. Absolutely not. Because the standard bar moves, right? Like, my standard, your standard, like, no, that's not how that works. How do you know if you have completely healed? I say if you can forgive. I say forgiveness and love, if you know how to walk in that. I feel like that's a loaded question, because there's so many other ways you can tell that you've healed. But I can give you some examples for me. I healed, and through, what I went through in my marriage, what I went through with my church, I knew that I healed when I could hear people's name and I didn't either cringe in fear or get a straight attitude. For me, because your emotions are flags, right? Your emotions are flags, but they are not, they're not these indicators that finalize decisions. Okay? Emotions are flags, not indicators that finalize decisions. That's really good. I'm gonna write that down. So that's just the truth. So you don't lead with your emotions. You let your emotions show you where things are, right? It's just like a flag, like a blinker, like do 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 do. When your flag is going off, like you feel yourself getting hot, you like, something's wrong here. You're getting happy about something. You're like, oh wow, I really do enjoy this. It's just telling you something. So really, if for me, when I encounter people from that church And I recognize, like, even recently, like, there's so much I have to say about this later. I can't wait. But I realize and I recognize that these people, when that church was brought up, I wasn't getting mad. I wasn't running off at the mouth. I wasn't like huffing and puffing and doing the most. I wasn't like, oh, goodness. They still give me a little hype every now and again because they still be doing reckless stuff. And that just makes me upset because I'm passionate about the people of God. But honestly, like, I don't care 2 cents about their entity, what they do. I just don't want nobody else to be hurt. I don't want anybody else to be hurt by what they've done. And so for me, I knew that I healed even from my marriage. I'm still healing, but I don't let people tell me where I am in my healing process. I gauge that. I let God show me where I'm at with that. Because people be like, oh, it's going to take you time. That's not true. Don't let people speak that kind of stuff over your life. Healing is a choice. You either choose to be healed or you don't. So if you choose to be free and you choose to stay free and you choose to be healed, you're going to walk in freedom. You're going to walk in healing. And if you say, I'm healed from this situation, I'm going to be healed. I'm walking in my healing. Even if you have a physical ailment, I'm going to be healed. I'm going to walk in my freedom. That's it. You know what I mean? So don't let people tell you and give you a barometer of when you've been healed. You tell the ailment and you say when you're going to be healed. Say, this, I'm healed. I'm healed in this. I do not have a broken heart. I don't. Sorry. People like, she walking around like ain't nothing happened. That's daggone right. And it's not like, it's no hard feelings, but I know that my God is a healer. And if you're healed, but you still, I may walk with a limp, maybe. Like when Jacob wrestled with the angel, came out with a limp, but that's about it. Like, I don't look like what I've been through. Like that story about, for those who don't know, there's a story in the Bible about 3 Hebrew boys that went into a furnace. They got thrown into the furnace for not worshiping idols. And when they got thrown into the furnace, when they came out, they didn't even smell like smoke. That's the kind of God I serve. So when I went through the fire and the hell of my life, I don't smell like smoke. I just came out and now I'm ready to proclaim the good news that my God is a preserver. He's a healer. Like, that's it. And I feel like those flags, those indicators, when you encounter someone, it could be fear. And so it could be something to say, you need to stay away from this person, right? Because for me, it was that. It was like, I'm fearful of this person. Like, there was a time when I was scared of my ex-husband. Like, I was scared of him, like, for real. To the point where I literally went to the judge, like, I'm afraid. My family can attest to this. I went because I was scared. I was like, I don't know. He's erratic. I don't know what he's going to do. Anybody who's ever dealt with being afraid of a person and what they will do to your life knows what that feels like. And I had to realize, like, okay, well, God, if you said you're going to keep me, then you're just going to have to do it. And I can't just walk in fear. I'm not going to sit in the house for the rest of my life scared that somebody's going to show up and do something to me. And then I recounted all the other times that God protected me. And so I just say that as an indicator to know, like, let your emotions, let your feelings be a flag, not a reason to make decisions, right? Just let them be a flag, tell you where you are, and you determine when you want to be healed. Because if you want to be healed, you'll take those steps to be healed. And learning to forgive people is really that first step. All right, I think that's all the questions we had for tonight. Y'all are so dope. I love the interaction tonight. So y'all know when I ask for questions, just rattle them off. I'm super excited about that. So again, I'm super excited to be here with you all. We definitely spent some dope time together tonight. I have some awesome different things coming out for the next month. This month we're going to talk about, I was going to go backwards. I was like, legacy, love. We can do backwards. Legacy, love, life, and laughter. We're going to talk about all those things this month because all those things matter, and we are going to celebrate Black History Month here on Joy Stays Free because I'm a descendant of free people, y'all, and I can't even, you can't not put that together. Like, stay free. Shoot, people died so I could be free. Like, what? 2 times over? Like, I got Jesus and my ancestors? Like, come on. Like, people died so that I could be free. Like, I don't take that for granted, y'all. Don't take that for granted. So I'm super excited that you all were here. I'm so glad that you were here too. I'm so glad that you all chimed in. So I'm here every Thursday at 9:30, and then I do Q&A. So I talk for a little while. If you miss it, Go ahead and get the replay. Go ahead and watch the replay. You can watch the first few minutes. Definitely go ahead and skim through. These Black History shirts are only going to drop in February, and I'm not dropping another set. When you buy this, you'll be the only people that get them. That's it. So I'm going to drop them February 1. All Black History Month. These shirts will be up for order. I got the white ones and the black ones, and I'm super excited for you all. So thank you all for being here, and I love y'all dearly. And until I see y'all again, stay free.